Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I want to make another locals recap, and today I brought my absolute favorite deck, tearlaments combined with Lightsworn. Overall it's an all gas deck. It was really fun to play. I think it has been a long while since I had so much fun playing a deck. Went pretty well, so I went X1, only lost once against Vanquished Soul. Yeah, the deck can definitely win some matches despite being an extremely classy deck. So without further introduction, let's go straight into the deck. So let's start with the tearlaments cards. Here we play the 3 tearlaments Kashtira, and then the 3 Rhino Heart, and then each girl 1. Please bring those back to 2. And then as fusion substitute the Beast King of the Swamp because I want to summon the Rukalos and the Grapha. And you mill so many cards, so you kind of have to mill something that is actually valuable fusion material in the graveyard. And those fusion substitutes provide really valuable fusion material in the graveyard. And then I still want to make the Bahamut Toad since Baron got banned. Before the ban list you were making Baron using the Garura as level 6 non-tuner monster, and now Baron is not possible anymore. So you have to come up with something new, and we just go back to Bahamut Toad. And I chose to play Danger Mothman as my dark to make the Bahamut Toad, because it can unbrick some hands, like if you open the Lightsworn Drangling and Wolf or Felice, you have a small chance to discard the Lightsworns, and then the Lightsworn Dragon is a free special summon from the hand and can extend you into Minerva. So these were my tearlaments monsters. And then I played 3 Polar Rhino. Oh, I'm already excited to play those in Quarter Century. Then 2 Scream and 1 Grief. Grief is such a broken extender in this deck, and this is the reason why I decided to play 1 Grief and only 2 Scream. Some people play 3 Scream and no Grief, but I think you kind of have to play the Grief in this deck, especially because it's searchable with the Visas Amritara. And it's a hybrid deck between Tearlaments and Lightsworn, so you don't get to trigger the Scream when you mill it with the charge of the Light Brigade. And for similar reasons I played only 2 Salik and then 1 Trivikama. Maybe you could cut this, but sometimes the Trivikama is the last card that helps you to break boards, because you can search any extender like either the Scream, the Pearl Rhino or the Grief, and then you win games with it. So these were my tearlaments spells and traps. And now the Lightsworn stuff. So we play 1 Punishment Ring, and I think having the Punishment Ring in the deck is really important, because you want to be able to search a non-Aqua Dark to go into the Bahamut Toad line. And then we play the 3 Drangling. I kind of had to wait until my remaining 2 copies arrived, and now I have 3 copies, so I can play this deck. Then also from the new set Legacy of Destruction, Device Lightsworn Archfiend. Basically the Lightsworn version of Snow from the Dark World, and therefore reversed stats if you didn't notice. And then 3 Wolf, and then 3 Felice. Yeah, the major disadvantage of this deck is the huge amount of garnets, so any Lightsworn card on its own is basically a brick, but if you draw the Wise or the Charge and any of those combined, then your hands can be really explosive. And then as a non-engine, I played only 3 talents. Overall 41 in total. This deck has lots of space issues, like you can't run more non-engine than that, and this is also one of the problems of the deck.
And you probably have to max out on the Lightsworn cards, just because you need multiples to get them work, or is there any chance you can cut them?
Maybe you can side out 1 Felice or 1 Wolf post side, but overall you don't have enough rewards for milling after siding when you side out too much of the Lightsworn engine. Also you run into problems that you have a higher chance of drawing a singular Lightsworn, like only Wise or only Wolf or Felice, and then those cards on its own are bricks, but when you draw them combined, then they are alive. And then for the extra deck, I played the Kaleido Heart, then the Rukalos because I played the Beast King of the Swamp, and then also the Grapha, then the Dragostarpelia and the Mud Dragon, so only those 5 fusions. And then the new MVP, basically the new Kid Carlos. I think most of you have already seen my video where I showcased this deck for the first time, and my opponent was able to end on 6, 7, 8 negates because the mill from Minerva is so absolutely crazy. Yeah, and I think most of you already know the combo, so you send the Felice or the Wolf and the Wise, so any combination of those, and then you get to summon another level 8 synchro because you have a tuner and a non-tuner. Unfortunately, the non-tune has to be light, so you can't use Rhino Heart as a non-tune material. This came up today, but I was still able to win this game. And yeah, with the Visas Aritara, you can search any card that mentions Visas Starfrost, like the Palarino, the Grief, so many versatility with the Visas Aritara. And then those two are level 8, so you can make those into Zombie Vampire. And even if you get hand trapped for some reason on the Minerva, you can still banish for cost, even under impermanence, and then special summon the Punishment Dragon. And then you have 4 banished lights in the graveyard, so you can summon this one with the banished Lightsworn monsters in the graveyard, and then you can make Minerva and Punishment Dragon also in Zombie Vampire. This might come up sometimes.
How often have you been able to make this play today?
I made it 0 times today, but it came up in testing with my friend.
Already.
And then one OG Minerva, unfortunately not the YCS prize card one, but maybe in the future. And yeah, I was able to mill 2 Lightsworn cards and then draw 2 cards. Unfortunately, I draw also the Lightsworn monsters, which was unfortunate. So, but Minerva, really dangerous card. So some opponents might probably not want to throw Ash or Veiler or Imperm on this and put the tearlaments player on better mill bet, and then you mill absolutely crazy. And then the opponents lose the game because they didn't hand trip the Minerva. Yeah, then as I mentioned, Bahamut Toad. And then for links, one Apollousa. In my final round, I was able to make a 4 material Apollousa before committing into the Minerva, and then I was protected against Ash, Veiler, or any other potential hand drops from my opponent. Then 1 SP for going second, and then 1 IP. Yeah, the play IP into SP comes up pretty rarely, so this is just to get some board space. Today I had to clear out my entire board because I had so many bodies, so I went IP into Apollousa, and then the Apollousa was protected against destruction on top of that, and then I was able to make some of my other boss monsters like the Bahamut Toad or the Tearlaments Fusion. Or if you don't want to go IP into Apollousa, you can also use the IP to link line into either SP or the Sprite Sprint, and therefore you need something to link line into the Sprite Sprint or SP, and I said to play IP for that. Overall, I was pretty happy with the performance of the deck today. I think it was really a fun experience, but after this locals, I don't think I would take this deck to an YCS because it's just super glassy. Yeah, you may just lose games on the spot because you break so much more often compared to a regular Tearlaments build. However, if you're just interested in locals and want to play for fun, this is definitely the greatest deck to play for fun.
You want to show off your side deck still, or?
Oh yeah,
or
yeah,
not?
right.
Okay.
The side deck. Yeah, just threw this together without thinking that much. So just free draw because there might be some dangerous combo decks, and you don't want to lose against hard combo decks. And draw is probably the best non-engine if you have this as your only non-engine against those hardcore combo decks like Mananium. It also helped me against Fluanaris today. And then 2 Bestias like the Magnamut, which can also search the Lightsworn Drangling. So you can kinda access the Lightsworn engine with the Magnamut, and for this reason you should play 1, I think, and then Druid's Worm, second Bestial target, but never came up. And then I sided the Shufflers. I think you have so much gas, and the input is already strong enough that you don't need those in the main deck. But they might come up against specific matchups where you need a Graveyard Interruption from the Shufflers. Then Scatter Shot, because you can send this one with Sprint.
Lol.
Then 2 Forbidden Droplet, 2 Dark Ruler. Yeah, I was afraid of some people playing Branded, so I was playing the Droplet and the Bestials to prevent myself from getting Gimmick Puppet Lock. Also the Cold Buy should theoretically help me against the Gimmick Puppet Lock, but I never played against Branded today, so not sure if I would keep those ratios. In general, those 2 splits are just really experimental. And then in case someone is on stun, I have the Heartbeat because I can search this one out with my Trivy Karma. And then if I play against Temper Dragon, I have the Rise to Full Height. It's really important that you play the Rise to Full Height and not the Electromagnetic Turtle, because Temper Dragon can play around the Electromagnetic Turtle with a 2-card combo. And then my final going first card, the Crime. So overall, when you go first, you side in the Cold Buy and the Crime very often, and having the Crime as Omni Negate against Dark Ruler from the opponent can be really helpful. because you may not have the same interruptions compared to a regular tearlaments deck, because you are much more relying on ending on a really monster heavy endboard and not a endboard consisting of layered interruptions like regular tearlaments. So Crime came up and I got hit by double Dark Ruler against Blue Boundaries, so I was able to negate the first one with Crime, and then my opponent was still unable to break the entire board, and then I just went Punishment Dragon, shuffling everything back, and then I just played a completely new game and that overwhelmed my opponent in the following turn. So this was a really funny game with the Punishment Dragon, which can also be an interruption against certain decks, because against decks like Cruelries, you can just shuffle back every monster that is banished and that isn't a tearlaments, that isn't a Lightsworn monster. So you just shuffle back every banished bird and the opponent is back to 0. I'm not sure if I would keep the side deck like this. It's just for locals, and if you have different locals, you could make some changes. Like if you play against more stun decks, you may side in the Cosmic Cyclone. Or if you play, I don't know, against more branded, you could side in more Bice. So those are just ideas. Overall, it's a really fun deck, and I hope you can take some inspiration for that. And see you in the next video in probably another deck profile. Have a nice day. Some fine thoughts I forgot to mention during the deck profile. First of all, my matchups. So I won against Raptrix, I won against Flu Wanderers, I lost 1-2 against Vanquished Soul, and the games that I lost, my opponent hit me with Nip, Impel, and I was unable to extend through it, and also my opponent hit my follow-up with Fenrir. And then in the final round, I won 2-1 against Chimera. Against Chimera, my opponent hit me with the hand trap and then triggered my Rhino Heart, and this is how I was able to start my own plays and OTK the opponent going second. And then in the second game, I hit my opponent with Troll after he resolved Patchwork, and then my opponent laughed pretty hard because he thought the game is over and he just lost to a singular Troll. Then I laughed because I knew my hand, and you can see my hand right now on the screen. And I just opened 5 bricks, and then I just laughed really hard and passed back to my opponent. And then my opponent was unable to kill, but I top decked 7 Garnet, and then the game was basically over. So yeah, these are some of the downsides and the reasons why I wouldn't bring this deck to a YCS event. However, if you just want to play for fun, try this deck out. See you in the next video. Have a nice day. Bye.